Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video. The time has now come to replace this fire alarm system. If you saw the video from last week, you might have seen that this system actually failed. So this is going to be a realistic fire alarm system upgrade because the system actually does need to be replaced. There's some crazy back EMF from these devices. So you might have seen in the video that these horns started spazzing out, but we're going to be putting in some more modern devices like you actually would do in a building. You can take another look at these before we take them down. This has been a very frustrating system to maintain. For one, as I said, these horns fail and the system can't really operate them because of how much interference there is. And then also these pull stations are just really not that good because they have glass inside of them. So every time you pull them, something breaks. So just a little bit frustrating. This is what we're putting in today. Some nice new system sensor L series devices. This is actually a very realistic upgrade because these were System Sensor's newest devices up until they introduced the LED version of these. But today we're just doing the xenon units. So let's go ahead and put these things up. As you can see, I have the whole lineup. I even have a couple of these bilingual devices. And then I also have a couple of these steel notifier pull stations, which will be kind of interesting to match. But let's go ahead and start by removing these things. Before I remove the system, I'll sound off the horns one final time. All right, that's quite enough. Let's go ahead and dismantle this stuff. This is kind of a dreamy upgrade because of how easy it's hopefully going to be. For one, all of the new notification appliances are plug-in, which is easy, but also I don't have to change any of the boxes. This red back box is literally going to fit perfectly with the RSGT bar that I'm going to put there. And then this shallow red back box also fits perfectly with the L series. But let's go ahead and take out these screws. I'll use my impact driver and then undo it quickly. And then now I'm going to stop the camera because I want to hold the horn while I undo this one so it doesn't like fall and then damage my wall. All right, there we go. So I just undo these Wago connections, and then the convenient part of this too is that since the L series is 2-wire, I don't have to undo the other connections. All I have to do is remove the Wagos from this, and then we're good to go. This is actually a newer bracket. You can tell by the dark gray color. The original brackets that they had back in 2017 were this color. This is also a redesigned bracket, but the original ones had some gaps in the plastic, so the mounting bracket would warp and the device wouldn't make good connection with the prongs here. But they redesigned it, which is good. They were responsive. So now we have this fully filled in device bracket. It's pretty rigid. But these things are so easy to install. I put in some shorter screws because I don't want to be using the impact driver for like 20 minutes. But all you got to do, run the wires through the bracket, right? Put the keyhole slots on and tighten it. I mean, these things are like a technician's dream. Any plug-in device, regardless of brand, is just so much easier to install. So we're tightening down these screw terminals here. As you can see, these two terminals are for the positive, and then both negatives go under the same terminal. Why do we do this? I think I've probably explained this many times at this point, but if you're not familiar with fire alarm wiring, there is a resistor at the last device on the circuit, the end of line resistor, and the idea is that the system has to be supervised. So right now, there's no device here, and that needs to cause a trouble, which it does. As you can see, there's like this little tab here that when the device is removed, there's no continuity between here, so the panel can't see the end of line resistor. Once you put the device on, since these things will make contact with it, then the device, right, will then complete the circuit. But that's how that works. So we can just go ahead and tighten down the screw. I set the device at 15 candela because we're in a residential space, and then also the lowest volume, which is good. These devices are pretty comfortable. They're not egregiously loud, and they're definitely loud enough to be heard. So that's the first notification appliance down. Pretty good looking. All right, we're over here at the pull station, and we're actually going from notifier to notifier because we're putting the bilingual pull station here. This thing is actually one of the cooler things in my collection, both of them actually, but it's conventional. So go ahead and open this pull station by the key, and then I have to quickly hold in the button because I don't want to set off the alarm and listen to the obnoxious horns. Oh crap. All right, so hopefully the impact driver is quick enough. Wrong way. Okay, and I didn't even drop the screws, so hopefully get these up there. Yes. Okay, now I just hold this thing shut and then quickly undo the Wagos. Ooh. Okay, there we go. Now this thing is disarmed. All right, cool. Now we can put in our new pull station. All right, so now I've removed the Wagos. We're down to the bare wires now. So I'll go ahead and put the cables in here. Again, it's just a conventional pull station. Very easy to wire. And then you might wonder, because I just talked about why there's 3 terminals on that device. Why isn't there, 3 terminals on this device? This device is not removable from a bracket or something like that. That device up there, the L series horn strobe, you can unscrew it and just take it off the bracket, and the panel needs to be able to supervise that. But a pull station, if you just remove it, then it's going to cause a trouble anyways. So there's no point in having that. You'll only really see that with devices that are removable from a plug-in bracket or something like that. But anyways, now I have to figure out where the Allen key is and then put this on the box. All right, I have this funky looking Allen key that works with the RSG pull stations. By the way, these things are still made in the USA. You can see how shiny it is on the back. But let's open the pull station, and then it's gonna set off an alarm unless I hold that in. Oh yeah, there's the model. Also, this thing was made December 12th, 2023. Interesting, that's pretty new. All right, hopefully now I can just close the pull station like that, and there you go. That right there is a finished notifier setup. As you can see, it fits really nice on that red back box. I might have to level it out again, but there you go. That is our first set of devices, and now I can time-lapse the rest of this. Woohoo! As you can see, we're just removing the pull station in the utility room here, and I actually wanted to mention something specifically about this connection. There's a reason I zoomed in on it during the time lapse, but this connection is technically non-compliant. You can't do this in an actual application. Of course, in this case, since it's a demo system that I change out very frequently, I really don't care that much about supervision. But in this case, of course, I am using these lever nut connectors, which is not the problem here. I do prefer to use those connectors just because the system gets altered so much. But the problem here is that the pull station is just spliced into the zone as well as the resistor. Now, the issue with this is, of course, with supervision, because if the pull station for some reason was to come loose, as in the cables going into the pull station were removed, the panel would not go into trouble, because the connections between the zone and the end-of-line resistor, which is actually just a black wire, this is a flexible resistor. It's not a standard resistor. But basically, if the pull station was to be removed, the panel wouldn't detect that. It wouldn't go into trouble. Normally, this is, again, not a connection you can do in an actual application. That's why most pigtail pull stations you see nowadays have 4 wires going in. There's 2 of one side and 2 of the other side. So you're supposed to go in and then out. So you actually need 4 connections in that case. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but you can't splice everything into one connection like I do here. Of course, in this case, I'm doing it just because this pull station only has 2 leads coming out of it, but I thought I'd mention this for educational purposes. All right, anyways, enough talk about wiring. I hope you're not too bored. I'm not that good of an explainer, so I do hope you learned something. As you can see, I'm putting in a pull station cover. This is kind of like a stopper. It does have its own alarm in it, which is really annoying, but pretty neat. Up here, I'm putting in a L series horn strobe. Nice and simple. This is just a wall mount unit. This is one of the first devices I got, actually, back in 2017, so it was pretty new at the time. Up here, I'm putting in a ceiling mount device. As you can see, this is a nice round bracket. They updated the bracket as well when they did the bracket revisions. For the ceiling mount devices, they originally took the wall mount brackets, like the same brackets, and they updated them with a more rigid design. So that's kind of a nice improvement. Also, the smoke detector here was being really annoying. I was trying to get the wires out of the terminals and cap off the leads for the power because it's a 4-wire detector, but it was not cooperating, which is really annoying. But there goes the new smoke detector, nice and modern looking. Here in the bathroom, putting up a new strobe. As you can see, not too much to say about it. It takes the same bracket as every other device, which is kind of nice, pretty universal. If I wanted, I could put up like low frequency sounders on the same brackets, which might be an interesting system test idea, but who knows. Here we are replacing this pull station, putting in a nice BG12L key lock version. Up here, I'm putting in a white horn strobe. I do like putting the white devices on this side of the basement because I think it gives it a more finished look. Here in the garage, I'm putting in a French P2RL. I think the model is P2RLA, but there's actually going to be 2 horn strobes in the garage, so it's a little louder than normal. Here I am putting in a French RSG T-bar. This is actually a Notifier branded one, just like the other one, so cool additions to the collection. Also, pretty matching for the system, which is nice. Here we are putting in another P2RLA in the garage, and I think that's pretty much it for this upgrade. So I did finish the installation. But I did go outside and notice that the beacon broke off. As you can see, the glue I used unfortunately did break. This is like the third time it happened, so I'm not sure if I'm going to put this particular beacon back up. I think it's the combination of the humidity and also the fact that this just isn't going to work. But took it down. Maybe I'll put a system sensor device up there to match the theme. Perhaps one of those advances with a red lens cover on it. But I don't have anything like that yet. So hopefully I'll order it by the system test. But if not, I'll just put another beacon up there. There we go. I ended up putting an Amsico beacon out there, so it looks pretty decent. And also, check it out. It's a really nice day out. There we go. Throughout the entire area, all new devices. Nothing that's going to give me any trouble, hopefully. And that's why system upgrades are done. Partially for convenience, but also for life safety. I mean, in actual buildings, things like having visual fire alarm signals are important and also required. But let's go ahead and sound off the system. I'm going to use the drill feature just to set off the alarms because I don't want to reset anything, but hold that down. There you go. Of course, I have selective silence. I quickly programmed the panel to system sensor sync, so all of these devices are in perfect sync, which is nice. Well, there you go. That's a completed system upgrade. And not only was it a system upgrade, it was an easy one, which is always nice. And it was a realistic one because this is something you'd actually see in a building and everything matches. So that always makes me happy. I hope you enjoyed watching. This is quite a lot nicer than the older stuff that caused EMF issues, which was really kind of annoying. But there you go. Thank you for watching.